Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Great to have you in the conversation. Here's that story about the number of children that have been killed by Obama's drone strikes. And again, I don't have a problem with this because the moral culpability for the deaths of these children is on the hands of Muslim adults who are so shameless and barbaric that they would put children in harm's way in order to protect themselves. This is a dude who comes from research from the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. 176 children have died in these drone strikes. An average of 4.8 children are killed every day in Afghanistan, and often for the same exact reason. Now, nobody is happy about the fact that 176 children are dead. I mean, that ought to break our hearts that happens and that people are so barbaric and savage that they would put innocent children in harm's way in order to protect themselves, to use them as human shields. But the blood for their death does not rest on the American people or President Obama. It rests on those that put these children in harm's way. So we just played the soundbite before the break. Barack Obama, you can't just air raid villages and kill innocent civilians. Well, that's what he said in 2007. Now he's just fine with air raiding villages and killing innocent civilians, 176 children in Pakistan alone, and now he's absolutely just fine with that. Now, here is Jay Carney talking about these drone strikes, and here's what he has to say about them.
You know, we have acknowledged, the United States, that sometimes we use remotely piloted aircraft to conduct targeted strikes against specific al-Qaeda terrorists in order to prevent attacks on the United States and to save American lives. We conduct those strikes because they are necessary to mitigate ongoing actual threats, to stop plots, prevent future attacks, and again, save American lives. These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
And I agree with him. I agree with Jay Carney and President Obama. Now, a lot of my conservative friends do not. It's a gentleman's disagreement about these drone strikes. We are talking about a field of battle here. We're talking about foreign soil. We're talking about people who want to cut our heads off, want to destroy us, want to eliminate our civilization. And I say the commander-in-chief, we've declared war on these folks. So this is legitimate. It's legal. He's authorized to use military force to take out our enemies. And I say go for it. Take them out. So I am with Jay Carney, actually, and Barack Obama on this. Now, what I want to do is I want to play you a little montage put together by Weasel Zippers, clip 5. And what they did is they put together a montage here of President Obama getting on his high horse about waterboarding, how this is torture. We can't use waterboarding. It's not torture, ladies and gentlemen. It is not. It is as legal as his drone strikes. It's legal. It's enhanced interrogation. It's not torture. They think they're drowning, but they're not drowning. Now, if you're going to drown them, well, then maybe that's torture, but they're not even drowning them. They think they're being drowned. It's all in their head because they're not. They're not in any danger. They're not in any danger of drowning, but they think they are. And that's why it works. So it's not torture. It's just interrogation, and it works. We played the soundbite. Leon Panetta from Sunday. Yep, that helped us get bin Laden. But Barack Obama says that's torture. But at the same time, he's killing 176 children in Pakistan with drones, and somehow that's okay. And here is the montage contrasting or juxtaposing what President Obama said about waterboarding and what Jay Carney said about drone strikes. So apparently in President Obama's world, torture is bad, but killing is good. Let's listen.
This morning, I signed 3 executive orders. First, I can say without exception or equivocation that the United States will not torture.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
Waterboarding is torture. It's contrary to America's traditions. It's contrary to our ideals. That's not who we are. That's not how we operate. We don't need it in order to prosecute the war on terrorism.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
And we did the right thing by ending that practice.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
We've got to get the job done there. And that requires us to have enough troops that we're not just air raiding villages and killing civilians, which is causing enormous problems.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
If we want to lead around the world Part of our leadership is setting a good example.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
And anybody who's actually read about and understands the practice of waterboarding would say that that is torture.
These strikes are legal, they are ethical, and they are wise.
All right, so that's a summary. Torture, waterboarding is torture, but killing 176 children with drones, that is A-OK, legal, ethical, and wise. And we'll take calls on this, what you think. You may disagree with me about this drone policy, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. It's odd that I find myself in agreement here, actually, with the Obama administration on this drone policy, using even against American citizens on a foreign field of battle who are helping al-Qaeda. I'm for it. I'm down with that. I want to see what you think about that. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Now, here is a reporter, clip 6. He's actually kind of honing in on Jay Carney and this whole business about President Obama and the shifting sands with President Obama with regard to human rights. Let's listen.
But let's be clear, this is giving the legal justification for killing American citizens without any trial whatsoever.
Again, I would point you to the ample judicial precedent for the idea that someone who takes up arms against the United States in a war against the United States is an enemy and therefore could be targeted accordingly. That's I think established in a number of cases, and I'm not even a lawyer, and I'm aware of that. So. Having said that, the issues here are important, and the President recognizes that, and that's why he takes these responsibilities so seriously. That's why he has authorized various senior administration officials to discuss publicly these issues the way that they have, and why I believe that process will continue.
What do you say to the ACLU that calls this a profoundly disturbing document?
Well,
it gives that broad power without checks, without balance.
Again, I would point you to the legal reasoning behind what we are talking about here.
So what these Nellies do not understand is this is war. Ladies and gentlemen, al-Qaeda, devout Muslims, they want to kill us. They want to destroy us. They want to wipe us out. What about 9/11? Do these ninnies, reporters, not understand? They want to kill us. This is a war. Commander-in-Chief has authorization from the Constitution, from Congress. Once we declare war, he can use lethal force to neutralize our enemies. And if you got an American citizen, he puts on a Nazi uniform, he gets in a Nazi tank, I'm sorry, he is fair game on the field of battle. Now, here's David Corn, another winger left, and the left now coming out against Obama. Remember, they can't help him get elected again, so I believe that the left is going to turn now on President Obama. They supported him, propped him up. Now they are going to turn on him. Let's listen to David Corn.
I think you just pointed out, as have others, the three major contentious points of this memo, the problems that are there. Because I think, I'm sympathetic to the argument that in some instances you've got to use drone strikes, and when there's no other opportunity. But the definition of imminence is really stretched here. It's almost Orwellian. And when you get to a high-level official, the memo seems to suggest that you can do this without anyone vetting the decision of a single person. And whether that's the president or anybody else, it doesn't even state. I think that's also a gigantic problem. And the fact that the memo doesn't go into, but you have 11 members of the Senate, 8 Democrats and 3 Republicans, who have asked the White House to turn over the legal memos that this sort of sums up that cover these drone strikes, and the White House has so far been reluctant to do so, is another problem. You want oversight. If you believe this has to happen, then Congress or the judicial branch, or at least somebody within the executive branch, has to be reviewing this.
Okay, so he's now climbing the frame of Barack Obama. And here on a program, MSNBC's The Cycle, they had a vigorous debate yesterday about the legality of these drone strikes. Let's listen.
Where are the limits? Exactly. Where are the limits in this memo that it has to be somebody who's part of Al-Qaeda, that it has to be something that's part of the war on terror as it's now popularly defined? There are that's the problem with this memo, is there are no limits. Could be anybody, anywhere, according to this memo.
We will have no leg to stand on when this technology, and when, it's not if, when this technology is turned and used on us or our allies. We will have no leg to stand on, legal or otherwise, if we don't codify any of this.
That's not true at all. Al-Qaeda attacked this nation. We are attacking Al-Qaeda back. There is no equivalence to Yemen attacking us.
700 innocent children were not in Al-Qaeda, Teray. That's what's happening.
But what Essie is saying, though, is not that we don't do it. It's that it needs to be codified. Because if we don't, and there needs to be some standard, because if we have no standards for ourselves that we can articulate, then when another country does have the technology and wants to use it against us, we don't have an ability to say, well,
international
trust us and don't ask questions.
Right.
International.
We can do what we want, but we're going to tell you what to do.
So they have a very vigorous exchange, and, this is an odd place for me to be, but I'm actually with Barack Obama on this. I'm with Jay Carney on this. We are at war. Touré, I've never agreed with anything that Touré has said in his life, and he's out there vehemently defending this drone program as a way to neutralize our enemies, and I'm with Touré on this one. I'm with Barack Obama. You got somebody, an American citizen, that is putting on the uniform of the Nazis, to use that parallel, getting in a Nazi tank, driving a Nazi Panzer tank, then he is fair game. He can be taken out by the commander-in-chief. That's part of the responsibility that's given to him by our Constitution. He's the commander-in-chief. That means he gets to call the shots. Anyway, be curious to what you think. Focal Point AF. Oh, wait a minute. I still got a little bit of time to go. Don't want to wrap up quite that soon. We got another minute to go here, so I was jumping the gun there. But anyway, I found myself in an odd place of being actually with the administration on this policy. Now, we've got this guy in custody from the USS Cole. We have him in custody. We've had him in custody. He's been at Gitmo since 2006. He's just now having his pretrial hearing. And he has the audacity yesterday to complain in court that he has marks on his wrist. He's complaining about this, and everybody's up in arms. Got to investigate this. He killed 17 American sailors, injured 37, and he's just now getting his pretrial hearing, and he's complaining about marks on his wrist from the handcuffs. Now, one other issue, we talked about this Muslim teenager tried to blow up 25,000 people in Portland at a tree lighting ceremony. You would think that the Muslim outfit, like CARE, would be joining in the criticism of this guy. Instead, they're saying this is bad. Him being prosecuted could alienate Muslims. They don't even want him prosecuted because it would alienate Muslims. Focal Point AFR Talk. Back with your calls in 2.